Hey, hey.
I was waiting for it because I knew it was coming.
I might as well just do it instead of like hesitating.
Absolutely, you
Hey,
just need
hey.
to bring it. Whatever feels good, baby. So hey, check it out. Good morning. It's good to be back with you. We're going to be talking with you today about one of the very most important things to having a successful marriage.
Ooh.
So you want to stay tuned to learn about one of the very most important things to having a great marriage. It's probably not what you think. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
But before we jump into all that, thought we might take just a minute and give you some updates. It's great to be back with you again. We always look forward to just sitting down and offering a few thoughts to encourage you in your marriage, relationship, in your business, and in your family at large, for that matter, in your life. What's been going on this week,
Yeah,
love?
we've had a full week.
Well, we have, haven't we?
Yeah, personally and professionally, lots of great opportunities and activities taking place.
Like what?
Well, our kids are all growing up and they're flying the nest. They're testing their wings. So our daughter's out in California enjoying a time right now of internship at Faith Chapel. So a special thanks to Faith Chapel for giving her that opportunity.
Yeah, Pastor Brian. She's really thriving out there and feeling good. But the reason that we bring that up, because we've mentioned that to you in the past, but the reason that we brought that up is because they've offered her a position, at least for now, within their church. And so she's going to be hanging in California for a little while, but she's going to come and visit us on August 3rd. So
Yep.
maybe we'll let her pop in here and say hi to you. She's doing a lot of great work, by the way. Sommer, Summer Gorman. And her channel is Pursuing Hope, right?
Yep.
On YouTube. And listen, if you've not tuned into that, I've seen her Facebook post or been to YouTube, again, Pursuing Hope. Highly encourage you to do that. You'll find yourself really
We
challenged
get inspiration
and
and
encouraged.
challenge.
Yeah, legit. I mean, she's really growing and doing better and better all the time as she learns to
And then
kind of find her
Joshua is doing a lot of things with a group called Visionary, doing all kinds of sports and flips and activities.
parkour stuff.
Parkour.
It's freaking cool. I'm jealous of him, all the stuff that he can do. Plus, he's just a stud. You know what I'm saying? He's just a good kid, good looking kid, and manages himself well.
Yeah, so with all of that, there's a lot of changes going on in the Gorman household. Professionally, we've got a few summits out there that we want to point you towards. There's some
yeah.
on-demand, a Thriving Marriage series that's going on, so you can find out more information about that. We'll list it in our events on the Married for a Purpose page so that you can find those activities all free. Other experts that are speaking on relationships, so you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, and again, Thriving Marriage is the one. When do we go live on that
We
one?
go live on that the 24th, so I
On the
think in a day or
24th.
two, whatever day it is.
It's the 22nd, I think. So anyway, you might want to check that out, Thriving Marriage. You can also find that on Facebook, Thriving Marriage. It's not our Thrive in Marriage series, but it's someone else's event. Ann Nelson, who is just doing a fantastic job of put together a great panel of experts. Outside of that, I mean, I'm not sure what all's been going on with you outside of that. I know I've been sick, like legit, since Friday night. Like just not, I don't have no COVID for everybody who's flipping out about COVID. I mean, but I've just had like a stomach virus, but it has really kicked my butt. Eh?
Yeah.
What about you? What's
I'm just excited to talk to them about what we're going to talk to them about.
All right, well, let's bring it then. She's like, dude, come on, enough personal updates. Let's get on with the
Yeah,
show.
let's get on with the show, because we say all of that because there's an opportunity for us to have some stinking thinking or to get discouraged in our thoughts. And that's what Greg was alluding to with the little pun. It's not what you're thinking.
Yeah. In fact, it is just exactly that. It is probably what you're thinking, because our thoughts lead to actions, don't it? I was often referred to this, but maybe you didn't realize that 95% of everything that you do on any given day, it's estimated and it's been documented.
95, 97, yeah.
I think it's about 95% is what most statisticians and research has shown. 95% of the things that you do on any given day, you do on the subconscious level. So what exactly does that mean? What that means is that you don't actually consciously think about it. One example that we use is when you get ready to eat your sandwich today at lunch, You don't think about all of the different muscles and such that you need to activate within your fingers and with your hands in order to pick that thing up. You don't think about the fact that you have to activate your bicep in order to,
You got some strong biceps though, babe.
thank you, to curl that sandwich up to your face, you know what I mean? And then you don't think about, you're right, you get it. Another example that we use is if you've trained anybody to drive recently, or if you can just rewind back to the day when you began to learn how to drive, you might remember how mechanical that process is when you first start. I can remember we've got 3 kids, and we've trained all 3 of them now how to drive. And when we first started out, everything that they did, you know, they had to think about holding it between the lines. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was a
Sometimes I wish they would think more about that again.
Among other things, but nonetheless. So it was very mechanical to hold it between the lines. And then when it was time to stop, it was very mechanical to how hard do I push the brake? When do I push the brake? Am I pushing it too soon? Am I pushing the brake too late? Blinkers, you know, speeding through parking lots, or, you know, cutting too short. I mean, all of these different things, you know, that are very mechanical when we first start doing something. And now each one of our kids, and probably most, if not all of you, when we get in a car, it's not so mechanical anymore.
Right. We don't think about all the activities that we have to do.
We just get in and drive. It's on the subconscious level. Now, why in the world would I open up a call talking about the most important thing for your marriage, or one of the very most important things you can do for your marriage, and start talking about the subconscious and the things that we do? And 95% of the things that we do are subconscious. Well, it's because a lot of the things that we need to be doing for our marriage begins in our mind, in our thoughts. And at first, they don't necessarily come naturally to us. They're very mechanical. They require some intentionality. And so if we continue in that intentionality, just like you did when you started driving a car, just like our kids did when they first started driving a car, as they practiced, as after a while, it doesn't take as much intentionality, does it?
Right.
After a while, what happens is it moves to the subconscious level, and what used to be such a challenge to remember to see the good in our spouse, to remember to praise our spouse, to remember to serve rather than expect to be served. And I'm sure you could add a couple.
Well, to think about, you know, it's like when you first started dating, it wasn't hard for you to find all the things that you loved about them, all the things that you shared in common.
It's not hard for me either today.
Yeah, but it's because you have made it a practice to be aware of your thoughts. And so here's where this really does apply. Our thoughts become our actions, right? What we think about, we bring about. We gravitate towards what we contemplate. So if I'm thinking how I'm getting the short end of the stick, eventually my actions begin to reflect, because I become resentful and I don't do the things that I would have naturally done. So our thoughts become our actions become our habits define our character, and our character in essence is who we become. And what we like to share is who we become, or who we are, is how we do everything.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know that you've heard that before, so it's not that we're springing something new, but I want you to let it in afresh. I want to encourage you to hear what it is that Julie just said about, you know, our thoughts, and then our actions, and then our habits, and then our character, and then our results, what makes up who we are. And I want to pause just a second in between a couple of them, love, and that is where our actions become our habits, right? That's cool. That's like super good news, because if we don't like the results that we're getting in our marriage, in our parenting, in our business, in our finances, in our health, then we know that we can begin to take some intentional action. And then eventually, if we're consistent and persistent and intentional with those actions, and those actions do become habit, which means they move to the subconscious level, which means it doesn't take nearly as much effort. They become a part of who we are. If we follow that, you know, thing that you said there all the way down, it becomes who we are, and our results in our life begins to reflect that. Guys, it's so powerful if we actually begin to leverage this thing that we know, that we've heard before, as we begin to use that to begin to produce a better result in our life and certainly in our relationships. Yeah?
Yeah, so if you feel a little stuck, if you feel a little in a quandary because it's like you don't like what you're maybe experiencing, it could be that you need to take inventory of where your thoughts are, right? What are you thinking about? And so one of the best practices to really impact your relationship, to make the difference, what is the difference maker? Well, it begins right here, because it translates from here to here, and then from here to here, from here, and then outward. So from our head to our heart, to our mouth, to our actions, all of those things begin right here in the subconscious level. So most of the time we're busily going from one activity to another, and we may be feeling angry, or we may be feeling emotional in some way, or we may be, whatever, fill in your blank, frustrated, and we don't even realize that we're feeling
And
those
we may
things.
be justified in feeling,
And we may be justified
you know,
in
which is the
feeling
other
that.
thing, right?
Right. So in your awareness, it's coming to that place of awareness. What are you thinking about? On any given day, we want to encourage you to take 15 minutes to pause at the beginning of your day and just simply say, okay, where am I thinking? I know for me, I've been challenged many times, and again recently, that I think way too small. I live off of a platform, if you will, of what I can accomplish or what I can do, and I forget about the promises of God and what He's calling me to do. And so I need to be really aware that I go to minimalistic type of thinking. I go to survival mode. I don't go to explore. I don't go to conquer big worlds. That's not my natural tendency. My natural tendency is to think I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not talented enough. So I have to take inventory every single day of what it is that I'm thinking about, and bring that into my awareness, because once it comes into my awareness, then I can challenge it. Right? Then I can bring the
That's
truth
called learning
to light. It's
and
learning
growing,
growth.
right? You know, I mean, literally, like we become aware, which means we're learning something. We learn something more than what we did, and then it's our responsibility, if you will, to leverage what it is that we've then learned and put it into practice. Because I say this just because, again, y'all have heard me mention it before probably, but I think so often we can get in the habit of, oh yeah, I know that, and then we dismiss what it is that we know, right? And again, I think that there is a lot of opportunity for me in my life to actually implore and begin to use the things that, oh, I know. We even talk to our kids a lot about that. Just remove I know from your vocabulary, because it begins to set our minds up to be closed off to learning and or growing. And so, yeah, it's good stuff, babe. Thanks for sharing that.
So being aware of what you're thinking about, because what you think about, you bring about, whether you like it or not. And so it's so important to be aware of what it is that you're thinking or feeling. Once you have that awareness, then what are you going to do with it? And that really comes to the second part
Can I add something real quick?
of growth. Sure.
Is it going to mess you up?
I know credit.
Well, I think that when we become aware of it and what we're going to do with it, you know what? I lost my train of thought and I messed you up. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, all right. So awareness, once you have the awareness, second part is to, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that thought, right? What is the truth around that thought? And so sometimes, again, taking the analogy that I shared, that sometimes I think too small, or I think about my limitations or where I don't measure up. And so I bring in the truth of God's Word. Obviously, God's Word has a great impact in my thoughts, and it helps me to think bigger thoughts than my own. And so I come into that awareness of, okay, well, what's the truth around this? Maybe you have fearful thinking, and it's always the what if. Well, why not challenge that and switch and say, okay, well, what if that does happen? Just bring it to the nth degree,
Right.
and then come back to the truth around what you do have.
Face your fear, right?
Face that fear, and how can you overcome that fear? What is the truth around that fear? What is the real power that you have? And that brings to the third step, and that is, instead of the fear or the limitation or the thing that's causing frustration, why not switch it to the truth of, you know what, okay, if I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick with Greg, which I don't, baby, but let's just say I did. I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick, all right? then what I do is it's like, okay, well, the truth is this happened, this happened, this happened, and that would all be evidence of where I got the short end of the stick. Where is it that Greg served? What is it that he's doing well? What is it that is his strength? What is it that he's filling in the gap? And I start looking from not just my perspective, but your perspective of all the things that you juggle on any given day. And then I take that, and then I also challenge myself. Let's say you can't come up with anything because you're just in that stuck place of he just stinks or she just stinks. And if he would only, or if she would just go, then you can't get past it. The truth is if I act in love, I'm probably going to get a better response. So even if it's just for selfish reasons, I want to speak life over my spouse. Even if it's just for selfish reasons, I want to serve and go out of my way to make his day or her day happy. Because what I'm going to get is a better result from that. So that third step is so pivotal. It's what can you do about it to overcome the limitation, the obstacle, the frustration, the fear, or that limited thinking that you've entertained that you weren't even aware of. And if you do that 15 minutes a day and you think about what you're thinking about, what the truth is that's going to give you growth, and then third, put into action one step that moves you towards the desired outcome that you have, you're going to have a better marriage.
Yeah, I think so. I remembered what I was going to say during that one transition there, and it really comes down to, sometimes in our realization of our thoughts and such, I think there's good for us to kind of ask ourselves. I find value anyway in asking myself, okay, so I'm justified, and I can justify myself. I'm justified in feeling the way that I feel, because we all feel like we're justified in however it is that we feel, good or bad. Right? So the question, though, is being justified, and is those thoughts, are those helping me? Are they making me feel better? Do I feel better because I'm justified in the way that I feel? Do I feel better that I'm justified, that I'm getting the short end of the stick? And is that actually serving me and or serving my marriage and serving the bigger cause? And so I think that's the other point, is that sometimes I just get off on being justified, when the reality is it kind of starts and stops right there. So I'm justified, now what? How is that helping me, and how is it serving me in any way? So you got anything else to add?
Nope, I would just say this. We'd love for you to join us in a journey where you can make your marriage thrive, not just survive. Your marital relationship, like where you really can have fun together, where you're not stuck anymore, where you have tools and resources to move forward into the happily ever after that we all want in our relationship. So do me a favor, go to www.purposefocusedmarriage.com. Involve yourself in that Thrive series, right? It's normally $249. We've got it on sale for you for $99. So purposefocusedmarriage.com. You're going to get 10 videos. You're going to get a book that goes along with it, a downloadable participant guide so that you guys can have some healthy discussions as a couple. And as an added bonus, when you do that, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the 12 conversation, it's actually 12 questions that every couple should be asking themselves, and a recording of our most recent membership call that we do with a group of people who want to take their marriage from where it is and make it even better. And so we're going to give you that free downloadable resource as well. Just go to purposefocusedmarriage.com.
All right, there you have it.
That was a mouthful.
Indeed. Well, listen, we'd love to connect with you there on that platform and have you involved in the membership. But in the meantime, you can continue to catch us here on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 a.m. And if there's any changes to that, we'll keep you posted.
All right, guys. God bless. Have a great day. And make sure that you're aware of what you're thinking about. Confront it with the truth. And then third step, take one action step that leads you towards the happily ever after you want for your relationship.
Amen. Right on. We'll catch y'all next week.